Welcome back to Growth Catalyst Hub. Today is day 14 of the 30-day Turbocharge Your Career program. On day 14 today, we are going to look at how do we avoid common mistakes that people keep making on their resume so that your resume is error-free. Let's dive in. Now, the first kind of mistake that people make, and which is very, very easy to avoid, is spelling mistakes in the resume. In today's age where there are spell checkers around, from early to simple tools, even Microsoft Word can do spell check very easily. If there is any spelling error, completely unacceptable. Grammatical errors, spelling errors give a very, very bad impression about you. When somebody looks at it, it just makes me feel, if I'm looking at your resume, that you have not really paid attention to it. And makes me wonder that if you have not paid attention to your resume, which is the most important document one can create, what else are you going to pay attention to? So very, very important. Please pay attention to, please get somebody to look at your document. Please ensure that you use the spell checkers which are available on the net so that no spelling errors, no grammatical errors are there in your resume. Including irrelevant information in the resume. You might have been part of your college clubs, all kinds of clubs you might have been part of. You might have had different experience as part of your professional journey. But what you need to put on resume is going to be very, very focused on what is asked for. Suppose you were part of, let's say, a cookery club in your college, and you are applying for a coding job in one of the software company. I don't think it's going to add phenomenal value. You can use that space for something else. Similarly, even very experienced professionals are tempted to add whatever experience they have and in detail on the resume, which may not be completely relevant to the job that they're applying. In fact, they may be irrelevant. So look at what is absolutely relevant for the job that you're applying based on the job description and add only those. And you need to be very, very clear that you have to go, you are going to downplay the rest of the information because they're irrelevant, and also because the recruiter who's going to scan the resume does not have too much time. They are going to give you your resume 8 to 9 seconds. Always remember that. Number 3, overuse of buzzwords. I've seen this in some of the resumes and it always makes me laugh. It looks like a management consultancy made document to me. Not required. And it makes people feel that you are showing off. Results-driven person, goes after synergy, innovative. Some of these are important, but in the context, which is very clear. But without context, just using these buzzwords is not going to help your resume. It is just going to make you look like a show-off person when somebody goes through it. So please avoid. Very poor formatting. I've seen some of the resumes. Content was good, but it becomes a complete eyesore. There have been resumes that I've come across on the net. I've also personally come across, which have used different font sizes for different parts of the resume. There's only one page of the resume, but the first paragraph is different font size, second paragraph is different font size, third paragraph different font size. Each of the headings are of different font sizes, all kinds of colors being used just to be differentiated. People use all kinds of things. That is not getting differentiated. That is actually banishing oneself. So don't do that. Use a very simple layout, use a very simple kind of formatting, use consistent fonts across so that it is readable at the end of the day. I've also seen sometimes, some of the passages are centered in the page. Wherever you need to do that, you may still can do that, but I don't see a need for it most of the time. It just makes it very difficult to read. So ensure that it is properly formatted so that it makes it easy to read for the recruiter. 5 is listing responsibilities instead of listing achievements and accomplishments. The recruiter is looking for evidence that this person that they're going to recruit can come and do the magic that they have done in their previous place, in the place that they are going to be recruited. Let me repeat again. If I'm the recruiter and I'm looking at your resume, I'm trying to find evidence in your resume that you have accomplished something so that I can imagine that you will be able to come to my company and create that magic. If you are not going to give any evidence of that, if you're going to list only, I was part of the team, I was asked to do this, I was tasked with something, and so on, and responsibilities is what you are going to list, and I don't get any evidence of your accomplishments or achievements, there is no way I can even think of you as a person that I would want to get in my company, because there's no way I can imagine what you'll be able to accomplish in my team if I don't see evidence of accomplishments on your resume. So it's very important to quantify and call out your accomplishments rather than listing responsibilities. Next error is a typical error, which is making the resume a little longer. People think that if the resume is just one page, it may look like I have not done too many things, and therefore they try to add. Even fresh college graduates, I've seen adding second page, adding the third page, and so on. I tell them, no, don't do this, boss. There's no point, because the recruiters don't have the time to go through all of this. Make it concise, make it sweet and short, make it single page. That's all that we need, and make it count. That real estate, if it goes beyond one page, the resume real estate, if it goes beyond one page, is going to be big trouble for you, because nobody has the time to go through it. So keep it one page. The Google thumb rule of, if you have got about 8 to 9 years, keep it to one page. If you've got, let's say, double of that, maybe you can go to second page. Remember this. And therefore, keep it to one page, or maximum, if you have tons and tons of experience, 2 pages. Please don't go overboard. At the same time, don't keep it half a page. It looks, if the page is empty, it looks bad from a formatting perspective, from a going through perspective. So keep it to one page. You have got enough. You would have got a bunch of educational degrees to talk about. You have got a bunch of experiences. It could be college experience. It could be club experience within the college. Even if you're a complete fresher, you would have got internship experiences. Talk about that, but keep it to one page. Next mistake commonly seen is using passive language. We are used to doing that in whatever we do, whether it's some email that we write or letters that we share within the organization. Passive language is something that is coming to us very easily, but that can be a problem in the context of the resume. Something like, I was tasked with doing this. I was part of the team. I managed to carry out the task. Looks a very drab sense of what you did. I don't get a clear sense of what actually happened in your tenure. So instead of that, talk directly. Led the team. Power verbs, it's called. Carried out. Instead of saying carried out the task, say executed the project. Led the team. And so on and so forth. So that you use power verbs instead of very passive verbs, which don't really connote the kind of energy, kind of passion that you would have brought to the table. The other error, and it's a very, very common error, is that people keep one resume and keep applying for every single job that they ever come across. Big mistake, because one job requirement is going to be very different from the second job requirement, and so on and so forth. So you need to tailor your resume for that job's requirements. Take your time, sit and prepare, and ensure that you have a master resume which is tailored to the requirements of each of the jobs. You look at what are the responsibilities, what are the accomplishments, what are the skill sets that you need to call out in the resume, and that is going to be different for different job requirements, and you tailor your resume for that, each one of that separately. Do that, you will see how many more interview calls that you are able to get. I've seen one silly error that people do when people create Gmail, and early in their life, maybe when they are students, when they are just entering professional life and so on, typically people might end up creating funny sounding email IDs, and they keep using it. Once you create it, you forget all about it, And that funny part, when it comes to professional life, looks very bad. It doesn't look funny anymore. It looks very bad. I've seen emails like completejoker@123.com. Not useful. I've seen email IDs like what is the problem @gmail.com. There's no problem. You're going to lose a job even before you begin your innings. So keep a very professional sounding mail ID, which you can create. Mail ID creation doesn't cost anything. If you have a funny sounding mail ID, ditch it. Maybe you can still keep it for your personal work. That's your decision. But for professional requirement, create a professional sounding email ID. Your name, maybe you can add your birth date to it if your name is already taken, if your name is a very common one. And therefore, you can add your name plus date of birth, name plus date of month, and the year, and so on. It could be combinations of that. As long as it sounds professional, looks professional, use professional looking sounding mail ID. So let me summarize what we have seen in this session so far. The commonly made mistakes on the resume, or many are there. The most common ones are: 1, grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, completely to be avoided. 2, either the resume is too long or too short, completely to be avoided. There are buzzwords all over the place, technical words all over the place, or management jargon all over the place, to be avoided. Poor formatting, very poorly formatted, different font sizes, different colors, different sized paragraphs, no bullet point formatting, all of this are there, including irrelevant information, which is completely unrelated to the job and the responsibilities and the requirements from the job in question, to be avoided. Talking responsibilities instead of achievements, so that it doesn't give any sense of what you have done to the recruiter. Using passive language and not using active power verbs, so that it looks like one dull and drab exposition of what you did in your career, to be avoided. The last one, very unprofessional looking sounding email address, to be avoided at all costs. If you have enjoyed this session, like it, please subscribe to my channel, and see you in our next session.